All right, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going after the transmission and clutch, and we're gonna redo a clutch line, and maybe if we're lucky, put in a new clutch master. Sam is here to help today. It means we're gonna get some shit done. All right, welcome to the underneath of the Datsun. So this is the 240SX transmission. It's bolted right to the KA over here. Sorry for the shadows. This is the original clutch slave cylinder that was hooked up to the Datsun transmission. You can see the line on this is completely junk, as well as the clutch hard line is actually pinched over all the way. So this is all the stuff that we're going to replace. I have all brand new parts, and I'll show you those over on the bench. So here's the new stuff. This is a new clutch master for the 510. Here's the new slave cylinder for the KA transmission, and a new flex line as well, and then some new copper washers for the flex line going into here. I do also have, I think this is a 4 or 5 foot stick, of metric brake line. I have confirmed that these fittings work. So Sam also brought NiCop line, so the real soft copper line, just in case the steel is not playing around. But I do also have this tubing bender. So this is a Summit Racing tubing bender. I don't believe this is too expensive. I think these are like 20 bucks, but I'm hoping this should allow us to make a pretty nice replacement line. So the first thing that we're gonna do is pull the transmission out. We actually want to pull this transmission out of here so that we can get better access to remove that line. And then with the transmission out, then we can actually put the clutch in, we can bolt the flywheel on and all that other stuff, so that when we put the transmission back in later today, this will be assembled fully. The clutch rod's not in it, obviously slave's not mounted, so all that stuff's going to happen hopefully today. The transmission is just held to the engine with like a few bolts. I think there's only 3 or 4, and then the transmission mount back here. So I'm going to pop these 4 loose. Actually, I should probably do these first. I'm going to pop these loose back here on the transmission mount. I'll move you guys. And then once these are all out of the way, we'll get the transmission jack up under there before we remove anything. And then we can pop the 4 bolts here, slide the whole transmission back. All right, bolts here going to through the bell housing. I think these are all 15 millimeter. So just blast these off real quick. And yeah, you probably hear this, right? Finally upgraded, bought one of these cool things. Everyone on the internet has them, so I wanted one. But it's actually totally kick-ass. Saves a ton of time. I know these are kind of pricey, but man, are they cool. I mean, the only way to be a cool YouTuber is to have all the stuff. Okay, so I think now we can just kind of wiggle this thing out of here. Okay, so we should be sitting mostly on here. I'll lose, yeah, let me lower this a little. There. No, we should be able to. There, it's already coming out.
I think you're right, yeah.
Okay, there it goes. Down a little, back some. Really?
No, nothing's connected up here. You're good.
Okay. Are we out of the?
Yeah.
I suppose there's no clutch in there.
You're clear. Oh.
Probably hitting on this line over here. One of these lines that has to be removed.
Yeah, I was just gonna cut on the line.
Yeah, that's a funny noise, huh? All right. Do you want to wheel it out from under the car before we heave-ho it on the ground?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, this only weighs like 100-some pounds. It's not that much compared to like a muscle car transmission. Right. All right. Ready to go? 1, 2, 3. There we go. Pro tip, guys: if you want to look strong, just work on really tiny cars. All right. So I'll give you a little bit better view of the back of the KA sitting in the car here. There are a couple of lines here that have to be fixed. I think this is an old gas tank vent line, maybe. It runs all the way up, and it's got like the end of the tube is rolled as if a piece of rubber hose would go over it. So I think this might be a vent for the gas tank. I may end up redoing this with some AN line, or just doing something different at the back of the car. This right here, this mess is, I believe, a brake line that is in desperate need of being redone. So, we're not going to focus on either of those two lines. The one we are after is this guy. I'm going to pop this clip out of here, and I may actually just leave this whole mess connected because it's not worth trying to get that out of there. I don't know if you guys can see, but this whole line is pinched over and it's not coming out. So get a flathead screwdriver, pop this tab, pull this whole mess out, and then we're going to lower the car back down and undo the line from the master cylinder, the clutch master, and then we can actually remove the clutch master, put the new one in, and then make the line. All right, so while I've got this thing up in the air, one thing that I have to finish since we redid the transmission tunnel is I have to finish seam sealing along all the welds up here, and then I'm gonna shoot this black. So while it's up here, I'm gonna take care of that, and then we're gonna drop the car down and rip the clutch master out along with the clutch slave and line. All right, so you can see the bright gray seam sealer everywhere. That's just caulk for cars. So grab your caulk, and smear it all, spread it all over any seam. I'm gonna wait for this to dry a little bit. Then I'm gonna fog this with some DE1635. Then we can get back to the clutch. This fastens just like any, like rear end or any brake line fitting to a frame. There's just a clip. Let me see. Use this guy. There. There's just a clip right here. So I think if we can just pry it out of the way, then we'll be in good shape. Almost. There it is. These are also known as Jesus clips, or
Jesus clips, yep.
Many other names, where if this thing goes ting and then you hear the right, you'll never find it again. So got lucky with that one. I'm gonna put it where I won't forget it.
I thought they were called Jesus clips because when you pop them off,
that's what you say. Yeah, right. Jesus or whatever. So now, hopefully, let's see. Oh, that's right. This isn't slotted. Duh. We are gonna need the death wheel after all. Let's see if these completely inappropriate shears work. Okay, so I think that works just fine. Yeah, get yourself a pair of these if you ever need to snip brake line for whatever reason. All right, so here's the clutch master. It's kind of hard for you guys to see, it's in shadow, but there's 2 bolts, top and bottom, and this thing slides out. Inside the car, there's a little clevis over the push rod that connects to the clutch pedal. So I'm gonna disconnect it inside, and we'll come out here, loosen these 2 bolts, and this whole thing, along with the line, should come right out, and then we'll use this line as a template, sort of, to make our new one. All right, so it's gonna be very hard for you to see, but right up under here, you probably see the clevis, this guy. So I'm just gonna take this cotter pin out, and then we should be able to slide the pin out and the clevis will come off, and then we can pull it off of the clutch pedal. And if any of you guys have ever dealt with these rusty cotter pins, you'll know how much of a struggle this is gonna be. Come on. Can't grip this thing. Can you hand me my other needle nose? Thanks, sir. There we go. Upgraded to a slightly better pair of needle nose than my first one there. Really? Come on. There she is. Okay, now I should be able to push the pin out. There's also a washer, and there's the pin. So on these, washer, cotter pin, and the pin that goes through the clevis. Now the clevis is off of the pedal, we can undo the couple bolts from the firewalls. Okay, so the bolts are out. This thing is stuck. Almost. Holy cow, look at that thing. Wow. Wonder if that thing was ever leaking. I don't know, it doesn't look too bad, but she's a little crusty. Oops. All right, viewers, that's it for this guy. We got the clutch master out right here, and we got the line that came with it. So ordinarily, if I was gonna do a replacement line like this, in any regular car that hasn't been modified or cut up or messed with before, ideally you could use the old line as a template to create a new one. However, this line right here is all bent up and mangled because, of course, the firewall of this car was cut open before. So in order to make a template line using just a standard piece of brake line here, I'm not going to bend that thing up as I go because there's not enough room and I'd have to trim a whole bunch off the end. What I'm going to do instead, and what you could do at home, would be to use a wire coat hanger, and you could bend that up to route the line where you want it and make a whole bunch of changes. But I don't have any of that. So all you TIG welders out there, I know you're going to scoff at me for this, but up on the shelf, way on top, I have TIG filler rod, which is just a little bit thicker than like a coat hanger. So I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna bend it up kind of roughly in shape of where I need that hose to go. I'll show you what I mean once I've got it mocked up. So here's the old master cylinder, and here is the new one. So you might be able to see that those are just a little bit different. The firewall mounting location, and it looks like the clevis for the clutch rod, it looks like those are very, very, very similar. I'm just going to lengthen this rod just a little bit. These are the same size master. This is a 5/8, so is the old one. Probably can't see that with all the grime. But the reservoir and the outlet port are in slightly different spots on this master. I'm not exactly sure what's up with that. I did order this off RockAuto. It is supposed to be 4 or 510, and it does fit, but it is going to change the way that we route this line. So I'm going to get this installed after I shorten this, or lengthen it, I mean, to fit, and then we'll work on mocking up our line. Okay, there it is. It actually does fit. So here's the 2 nuts and the washer over here. I think I'm missing 1 lock washer. It's probably stuck on the master here. Or maybe not. All right, looks like I'm going hunting for another one. Holy mackerel, this is impossible. How do you get your hand in there? Why is it? Gotta reach behind the master cylinder. You can see that there's a ton of room working on these little cars. Nothing but factory original hardware around here. All right, zip those tight, and then we can start mocking up our line. Okay, so I don't know how well you guys can see, but here is our template line, and this is just held together to give us rough length. Drops down over here, and there's a little bend. I know that's probably hard to see. So we're gonna attempt to recreate this out of this section of hardline I got from O'Reilly. The only thing I'm concerned about is this really tight radius. The reason for that is the outlet port of the new clutch master cylinder is really tight to the fender. So if we end up having trouble with this, I think I might take a ball peen to the fender. So I'm gonna put you guys on time lapse and try to get this bent up. Here is, I'd say, probably 3/4 of the line that we need. I think this is like a 5-foot section I got from O'Reilly that was already flared and had the ends on it. We end up needing just a little bit more for the run that runs all the way down to the fitting on the side of the, or on the frame rail. So Sam has some line, but I'm gonna let him keep his nice copper line to himself. We're gonna run into town and go get some more of the steel stuff, and then we'll put a union in there, which unfortunately I don't like that. More unions is more chances for leaks, but it'll work fine for this car. So we're gonna go get 2 more feet of brake line, cut the end off, flare it, and then we should be done. All right, just gonna run to town quick. I have been tuning up on the Oldsmobile just a little bit. I mean, it probably needs a full retune with this camshaft, but it runs good enough as it is for me to kind of play with it. So, not really a tuner. what's available local to me really easily. If I wanted to drive out of the way, I could get 93, but I just turn the boost down a little bit and I pull a little bit of timing, and it still ends up being a really fun setup. Lights off pretty fast. And like this transmission is geared like a T56. Well, and the limited slip really helps too.
Yeah.
All right, so just got back from the auto parts store. We have the line that we made. This is all bent up according to the template. We're gonna fish this thing up in there. It's gonna take a little bit. And then we got a union for the line that's gonna run all the way down to the inner frame rail. So we're gonna do this piece first and then pick the car up in the air and attack the rest of it from underneath. All right, it was quite a fight, but here's the new line, and it needs, you know, some holders and stuff to hold it down, and we do still have to make one more connection here, right along the bottom here. So I don't know if you guys can see that way down there, but that's the bracket that we're shooting for. So we do have to fix this thing to the firewall and adjust a couple of these bends just a little bit to make that work. But for now, I think we're gonna go back up in the air and we're gonna finish off making the rest of this line to get down to that bracket so that we can put the new soft line in there. All right, viewers, here we are. So we have the union up here. You guys can't see that it's out of frame, but we're actually reusing a factory bracket to hold that brake line, I mean. Yeah, I know, this is a fancy pants garage now. This is the little piece of nickel copper line that we got. Looks like we are gonna have to angle this just a little bit. We're gonna have to angle it back this way towards the frame rail here, and then we gotta put a 90 on the end. So I'm gonna take a wild guess and say somewhere right around here is where our 90 needs to be. And this stuff is so forgiving that I'm just gonna slam a 90 on it. There's a little lip at the top of the firewall, and where this line comes across the top, we're trying really hard to make that line tuck right under that lip of the firewall so that it's not dipping down in the trans tunnel. So I may have to bend this back out a little bit now. And Sam actually brought these really nice brake line forming pliers. I don't know where he got them from. We'll figure that out and I'll share it, but they're pretty slick. So here's the new copper line. We have that bent in a crude 90, basically to hit that bracket right there. So I'm going to nip this line off something like right there, something like that. And then I'll take it over and we'll use my brake line flaring tool, put a flare on it, and then bring it back over here and just fit it. All right, so this is the brake line flaring tool that I'm pretty excited about. It's made by Tool Guy Republic. No idea who that actually is. I bought this on Amazon. This is the 4-piece die set, so it's 3/16 quarter, 5/16, and 3/8. This is 45-degree flare, so just like brake lines and stuff. This will do single or double flare, whatever. For us today, this is our 3/16 line for the clutch. So I tried to freeform this line, but in order to use this tool, you have to have a nice straight piece. So the gland nuts are both on there, pointing the right direction, and all we have to do is flare one side. So I'm gonna throw this in the tool and we'll go through this really quick. Shouldn't be too bad. All right, so just to clarify this, there is a first step. The first step here is to put the turret, here is what this thing is called, to operation 0. And what that does is when you feed your tube into the clamp here, you put it on operation 0, which is just a flat piece of steel, and that is going to set the depth and put the tube to the exact right position inside the clamp so that the two dies will work to make your flare. So first start with operation 0, which is universal to whatever size tube, and then you go to operation 1 and operation 2 based on their tubing diameter. Step 1 and step 2 dies. Yep. All right, so inside the tool here, there's actually a split clamp like this, which actually is the perfect size for a 3/16 line. So the bottom half of that die is in the tool already. I'm gonna put in the tube, and the idea is to get it exactly flush, and I'll show this on camera here. It's to get the tool exactly flush with the edge of the die, just like that. So that's why I'm gonna set it in there, and then we'll set the top of the die on there. And there are alignment pins that lock these two together. And then you fold the clamp over the top, slide the pin through, and then run this sucker down nice and tight. Okay, so there's operation 1 and operation 2, depending on the size. So we need 3/16 operation 1. So the handle just clips into the end, and you pull the tool for operation 1, and then you flip it to operation 2 for 3/16. Need to tighten my vise a little bit. And that should be it. We'll see how it turned out. Otherwise, we're gonna have to drive back to the store and get more. And look at that shit right there. It's as if I didn't do this and I bought it. It's awesome. Check that out.
That came out super nice.
So that took like no effort at all. And yeah, there is the other tool. I think Sam has it. That's the handheld, like on-car flaring tool. That's another one I want to get. But holy shit, was that easy to do with this thing. So if you guys are looking for this, I can put a link in the description for what this tool is. That was the easiest line flare I've ever done, and it looks absolutely flawless. All right, viewers, here it is. Is it super pretty? No, but that one is up there. That one looks, not this thing. That's coming out, don't worry. But the other one up top looks really, really good. Comes down to this bracket. Yeah, we got a little kink here, not a big deal. Just got to thread these all the way in, and then we're ready to hook this up to the slave cylinder when the transmission goes back in. So, new clutch hydraulics all the way down. We should be ready to rock as far as that. So I think the last thing I'm going to do for today, before I forget, is fog all of this underneath the transmission tunnel with good old trusty 1635 here. Once that's done, then I think that'll wrap us up for today. All right, I think that's what we're going to call it for today. We got all the new clutch hydraulics installed, plus that new pre-bent line with a little extension piece on there. The soft line is now in the bracket. So after this, I can finish up installing the slave cylinder on the transmission, and next step will be installing all the clutch stuff, flywheel, pressure plate, etc. I have all of it, it's all here. I'm going to work on that next. There are a couple other hard lines that I want to fix between now and then, but we'll do that in another video. So thank you so much, Sam, and thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. I will catch you guys in the next one. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. I had a subscriber come to me with a really good video idea. They wanted to see a proper burnout with the Oldsmobile. So we may have fulfilled that request. We didn't get too much done in this video, so we went and did a burnout instead. See you in the next one.